This is MRN Out Loud on MRN.com, presented by Bloomin' Mondays at Outback Steakhouse. And also brought to you by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
MRN Out Loud, presented by Outback Steakhouse, reviewing what happened at the All-Star race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, looking forward to what might happen in the Coca-Cola 600 this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, when Joey traditionally gets 2 weeks off.
I was literally off today.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's great. I mean, you're home, you're comfortable.
And I was home. I can vouch. And there are some things that go on behind the scenes that
nobody needs to know about.
I was home. There's
However,
no doubt. Yep.
It is good news if you're viewing this on a Monday because Kevin Harvick, another top 10, Outback Steakhouse. We were wondering if it was going to be because it's an exhibition race, if they were still going to do it. Oh, yes. Kevin Harvick tweeted out, it is Bloomin' Monday, another top 10 finish for him. Little Joey is delighted. Go by Outback Steakhouse, get your free Bloomin' Onion.
Found a way to take the fastest car and finish second with it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Very. They weren't too pleased with their second
He was an
place
unhappy
finish.
Camper on the radio.
Yep. Well, and he should be. And that's one of those things. And he said it. They just weren't prepared. They made some mistakes. They had their one pit stop to really make a difference, and they did make a difference.
Just not the positive
not
kind
the
of
way.
difference, yeah.
But what's scary is how fast they were.
Oh, they were lickety split.
Yeah, they were really
They
fast.
had everybody covered speed-wise.
So we'll see if it plays out in the long run speed, because everybody was set up in kind of almost a half Q trim, mock Q trim mentality, short run speed. We only run those 20 laps. But even before that, how about the overtime start with our stages, side by side, photo finishing, beating and banging.
Oh, and the open was fantastic. I mean, to me, that just speaks volumes about how dirt track racing has been so successful with heat races. Those guys in those stages were racing for something, not just trying to make it to the end, and it showed in the way they raced.
Well, and the simple fact is when you can beat and bang, we realize we're affecting the performance of the car. Right? We spend these race teams spend an inordinate amount of time smoothing things out and working on this aerodynamic piece of the body. So when you beat and bang, you immediately affect that. But because of the short stages and the short runs that we had, the 20-lap segments up to the end of the last 10 laps, you can afford to give that aerodynamicness up.
Yeah, aerodynamicness?
Huh?
Wait, what?
Huh? Do you like that?
Yeah, that's good.
Right. So there you go. Because you have to rely then on just the mechanical grip side of your tires, and you're willing to toss that car around and give up, because you're going to give up some downforce. You're going to give up some side force on these race cars when the body's messed up, and it's not going to be at 100%. But you're not running for 40, 50, 60 long laps until the whole fuel run.
Right, to where you're hanging on by the end of this segment or stage.
And we saw the guys were able to battle, put on an amazing battle.
We saw some four wide.
Four wide in the grass slide. By the way.
I know where you're going. Go ahead. I know where you're going, though.
The infield grass was spectacular. Spectacular. The fact that the turf stood up, that was the big question. Everybody was, if you're walking along your house and you slip on the carpet and by the front door, that's what everybody had the fear of this happening when a race car
would be like ice
at speed, but it would go in and just wrinkle up like a Shar-Pei dog. Right? The turf stood. It did a burnout at the end. I mean, everything about the turf was fantastic, which leads you to believe that we'll see this turf
at more tracks.
But that was really a good debut because we saw it at the Roval. But because the cars were going slow, we really didn't see a lot of incidences happen in the turf. We saw Friday night's truck race with trucks going through it. We saw the Open with cars going through it. We saw the All-Star race with cars going through it. It really held up. And
that's crazy to me, but what we've been used to is a car or truck gets off in the grass and it destroys the splitter, rips the whole undercarriage out of the truck or car, and you're done.
And they're done for the day.
Just a simple slide through the grass, and now with this, it looks like a giant step in the right direction.
It was real. That's, again, the fact that we didn't talk about it on Friday and Saturday was a hero's welcome to anybody that's been through the infield and ripped the splitter off. We saw a couple weeks ago, I think it was Haley Dagan in the truck at Kansas, get up, jump the quarter-mile track, and just shred the nose off the truck.
It just digs in like a lawn dart. Yeah.
And this did a really good job. But, again, overall, I don't know how you can expect any more than what we saw this weekend from a Friday night truck race. Kyle Busch, 5 in a row.
Yeah.
He's done running the truck race. Guy, everybody's going to be happy now.
Right.
But he was able to win all 5 races, which is pretty unprecedented.
It is. He got some good challenges though, but he really had a stout truck and he drove the wheels off of it.
It's a good combination. And
Yeah.
if that kid ever drove a good season,
Yeah,
full
if he
season.
could put something together.
The opens, the 3 stages, and the open and the end was fantastic. And then the All-Star race. I don't know how much more.
The only thing I would say there is the All-Star race didn't at first match the intensity of the Open because they're not really paying for the stages like they used to back in the day. Remember, you get a big check for winning one of the segments of the All-Star race. Now those guys race like they know none of this matters. There's no points. There's nothing to get you into the playoffs. The only thing that matters is making it to that final stage if you're going to be in contention for the big money. It got more intense as it went, but it wasn't early on as intense as the Open because there's no real incentive. You got to protect that car and be there at the end.
We say this a lot in the playoff hunt, right? In the first race. You can't win the championship here, but you can lose it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we saw as that $1 million payoff. You can't win it in the first stages, but by golly, you can lose it.
Right. The 4 wide and 3 wide stuff, Kyle Larson going 3 wide with a push from Harvick to get to the front, all that was at the end.
Yep, that's
yeah.
it.
I mean, it was good racing, and kudos to those guys. It was a really good night. Good crowd on hand, even though it was the hottest day of the year. It wasn't a sellout, but a really good crowd, better than you and I were speculating beforehand than we've seen the last several years.
No, it was really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Overall good weekend.
All right, a lot to talk about on the program. We'll hear a little bit from Kyle Larson. A lot of the guys racing in this weekend's Coca-Cola 600 went on visits to military facilities in the area with Memorial Day coming up, and that being the big theme out at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll talk about all that on this week's edition of MRN Out Loud.
G'day, America. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. That's right, Outback Delivery is here. Now you can enjoy all your Outback favourites anywhere. Our signature centre-cut sirloin at home.
It's here.
Or game day party platters with Kookaburra wings that'll have both teams cheering.
It's here.
Or steak and lobster for a date night at home.
It's here.
Head over to Outback.com and place your orders because Outback Delivery is here. Outback Steakhouse. Aussie rules. Delivery availability varies. Delivery charge may apply.
For more than 80 years, Detroit Diesel has been the legendary driving force powering many of the best-known trucks on the road. Through our state-of-the-art Detroit technologies in components and safety systems, we've earned our customers' trust as a reliable business partner dedicated to improving their bottom line. It's no wonder they continue to depend on Detroit to keep them safe and efficient on the road. When you demand it all, demand Detroit.
Before you know it, we'll be crowning the 2019 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup champion in Miami. You need to be there to witness Ford Championship Weekend, November 15th through the 17th at Homestead Miami Speedway. 3 days, 3 races, 3 NASCAR champions.
What a year for Joey Logano, and he caps it off with a win at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Pick out the best seats in the house for the pinnacle race of the 2019 NASCAR season in South Florida. Call 866-409-7223. That's 866-409-RACE.
It's been such a rocky start, and we haven't gotten any momentum at all up until the last couple weeks, a little bit, and then today I hope kind of helps it. This is a great time of year for me to get a win, and winning not only is important for me in NASCAR, because it's what I make my living in, it's what I race for points and for a championship in, but this is the time of year where I start getting to race a bunch, so. I'm going to be in a race car, I think, every day for the next, probably almost 7 or 8 days. So this is a good time of year for me to get some momentum and get into my sprint car season, my midget season, as well as, the NASCAR stuff on the weekends. So hopefully this will turn it into, I can get some double-digit wins this year.
Big weekend for Kyle Larson, not just for the money, but just for the emotional lift of getting that win, because they've shown some speed. They haven't been able to get to victory lane, but this is something I wonder about, and I've been asked a lot, and you've been with a variety of different race teams. Is there such a thing as momentum in racing?
When you have it, absolutely. When you don't, absolutely. And that's you're always searching. Okay.
It's so equipment dependent.
Okay, so on a normal race weekend, right, we have 40 guys starting the race. That means only one guy can win. We have 39 second losers, right? First losers. The agony of defeat always outweighs the thrill of victory. But yet, because we're addicted, this is a drug to most of guys who are in racing. We're always looking for that fix or that victory lane, and that keeps you going, right? Kyle Larson got his fix on Saturday night. That gives them the energy, the reason, the momentum, whatever.
Like in a video game, you get more power.
Exactly
or more
right.
lives.
Exactly right. They got to stick in another quarter and keep playing with the incentive of we can do this, right? You get tired of getting beat down. When you don't win, then somebody on the team, crew chief, driver, owner, or crew member, has to be the cheerleader and going, "Yay, come on, guys, we can do this. We're better than this." When you win, everybody's the cheerleader. They walk around. They won the Winston Million. I talked to Derek Nealon this morning, actually, and congratulated him, and he was still on a high, right? Everybody is the cheerleader. It's easy to be the cheerleader after you've won that race, and that's what those guys have. When you can't win, then you start looking for reasons. Why aren't we winning? Is it execution? Is it speed? Is it performance? Is it car? Are we blowing up, right? One of the things Larson's had this whole year is a little bit of speed. They haven't had great speed. His teammates had better speed, right? The one. So then they're looking for that reason. Okay, well, our teammate has speed. You're always looking for that one thing to right the ship, if you will, right? And right now, when you win the All-Star race, you don't have to look for anything. It's there. It's right in front of you. They don't care what their teammates did, right? So you rise to the top. You go like, we won this race. Now they go to the 600, which will be our longest race of the year. With that pride, with the ego of we beat every single person in the field, right? That's the best of the best in the All-Star race, and they were able to win. Now, they know they were lacking that much speed, a little bit, because Harvick was the one that pushed them to the front.
But the fastest car doesn't always win.
Exactly right. And that's one of those things that when you realize, again, for the 600, you talk about the fastest car. There's a lot of pit stops during that event, a lot of stages.
A lot of opportunities for mistakes.
For mistakes, exactly right. And sometimes the fastest car can't get back there. So they executed a really good day because remember, that was one of the only cars that came from the Open that did really good.
Yeah.
Right. The other cars still.
Well, Bubba had a top 5. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but yeah.
But when they realized they put the entire night together, that's what they're hanging their hat on. And again, good kudos for those guys. I wish we could have been there for it. We didn't have a very good day in the old 21 Wood Brothers car.
Yeah, you guys. I think you got in the wall.
Got in the wall first lap, second corner went down to 3. Car broke loose. And that scrubbed the right side off. And as we talked just 5 minutes ago, aerodynamics, it was so early on. It just took us the entire night to keep trying to catch up, and we were never able to do that.
I do want to talk about the 600 coming up, but before we get away from our All-Star conversation, what did you think of, and this is the term of the weekend for me, I love, the vent holes in the top of the hood. I heard people calling them nostrils.
Nostrils, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
But what did you think of that? When we had the undercarriage, too, where there's one piece from the splitter all the way back over the radiator pan, oil pan area, one piece to try and help the way that the air moves around the cars.
All right, normally in this portion of our show, I get on my soapbox and I'm going to be mad at something or happy about something. I'm confused. This is a confused soapbox. And the reason it's confused is when we came out.
You still get the bubbles.
That's it.
Okay.
When we came out with this configuration package for the All-Star race, it was going to serve 2 purposes. The engine guys were talking about not having to run the engine so hot.
We had Doug Yates on when you were on special assignment. That's exactly what he talked about.
Okay, we talked about the engine temperatures being cooler, longevity in the engines, possibly getting 2 or 3 races out of these Cup engines. Good idea, great. The other thing is as they get cars in behind, hopefully we can keep the air vent on the nose open, right, to keep the temperatures down, and that will allow the air to go back over the hood, re-secure to the car, and create more downforce so that the guy in front of you don't pay such a big penalty in traffic.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the ways this opening was supposed to work was we weren't going to have to worry about tape configurations.
Or at least not as much. Yeah.
Right. So guys put tape on the nose to allow the air to go over the nose instead of through the radiator, which then dumped out under the car.
And the question is, how much can you do before it gets too hot for the engine?
Yeah. We still ran hot temperatures, and we still used tape on the nose.
Well, yeah, but this is the first time we've ever used this package.
But I was under the impression, and talking to other guys, they were too, that tape wouldn't even be allowed, right? And we were going to run these motors cold. Okay, now, one good thing that did come out of it is a lot of the drivers really, truly felt, except for the leader, that the penalty behind traffic they felt wasn't as big, and that's a gain. That's a really big gain. So if we can keep moving forward in that direction, it'll be curious to see when the nostrils come back out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is. I get your point, but this is not the end all be all of this experiment.
Yep.
This is the first run of it to see what it might do.
Yeah, but I would have liked to have seen NASCAR dictate to the teams, the reason we're running this is to keep the motors cool, right? No tape allowed.
And let's see how it goes.
Exactly,
yeah.
right. This is, again, it's the all-star race. Everybody's on the same platform, but we didn't do that. So we kind of used the new system and still use the old system with
It's like
it.
we didn't fully commit.
Correct.
Yeah,
Exactly right.
We went part of the way.
That's it. And I talked to some motor tuners around the Cup garage, and they were like, yeah, we're still hot.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the race, you saw guys putting tape on the nose in the last 10 laps, the guys that came down pit road.
To get even more downforce.
Exactly right. So that's the one thing that, I get the idea. The purpose is fantastic. If we can run these engines longer, that will reduce our overall engine bill.
Yeah.
If we can reattach the air that normally goes to the radiator back on top of the hood, creating more downforce, the guy behind the car has less penalty. Great idea. But when you start mixing the two in together, I'm like, I'm kind of confused on it.
Well, I mean, but then let's keep in mind, again, what we saw in last year's All-Star race led to what we're running this year, but it's not exactly like what we ran.
Exactly
so
right.
at least it's a step in the right direction, and they're trying to figure it out. That's really good.
Yep.
Let's move to the 600 now, but before we go to that, Bubba Wallace, as we mentioned, won a segment of the Open and advanced to the All-Star race.
Woo, that was a good finish.
And got up there among them at the end of the All-Star race as well and had a really good shot. Now, he and several other guys have been visiting some of the military facilities around, getting set for the Coca-Cola 600 coming up for Memorial Day weekend. And Bubba was one of the guys who got to go up in a jet. He went to Seymour Johnson Air Force Base and got to fly with some of the guys there. It was a really cool experience for him. You see him there getting ready and putting on the gear to go up, and this is something that I think a lot of people would love to do.
I would give my so I fly for a living, and I was able to go. I was able to go do this kind of flying right here.
Did you throw up?
In an extra 350. So we did a lot of what they call upset recovery training, which is very big in corporate aviation. And all you do is you fly around and you go upside down and you tumble around trying to get the airplane recovered.
Wow.
The ability to sit in these airplanes like they do and fly at unusual attitudes is really cool, and it is a learned art that they're available. But sitting on a ship right now,
that's Denny Hamlin. He was at the Norfolk Naval Station.
So my son is based there.
Oh yeah, okay.
My son is based. He just got based in Norfolk.
Did he see Denny?
I don't know that. I don't know where he was. So the ability for them to be in Norfolk, he's now through 2024. Here they are moving the ship. And
Austin
around.
Dillon there with the Coast Guard out of Wrightsville Beach.
Yeah, no. So it's awesome. Obviously, our Memorial Day weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina, for the 600 is one of our most patriotic events. It's our longest event. Years ago, Humpy Wheeler used to put on those really big infield shows for the military showing.
That's Ryan Newman at Fort Bragg, by the way, with the Army.
And again, an amazing opportunity to represent all of our armed forces with some of our best drivers in our industry is a really cool event.
And how about Kyle Larson? He got to visit the Paris Island Recruitment Depot with the U.S. Marines, and he got to do some work with them. A lot of cool visits for these guys.
I'm sure Chip Ganassi was real happy with him crawling down the wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's safe. They're not going to let him fall on his head or anything like that. But how about that? I mean, Bubba Wallace has a really good run. He went on one of those visits. Kyle Larson had a really good run, and I meant to mention this to you earlier. Let's backtrack a little bit. You always say that if people are mad, it must have been a good race. And Clint Boyer and Ryan Newman were kind of mad after this one, and so was Harvick, as you said earlier.
I saw a great analogy and almost a little bit of a meme that Clint Boyer looked like the Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yeah, remember those? Yeah, I used to love that game.
Yes, and all the uppercuts with a guy in a helmet.
And then your head flies up when you get hit, yeah.
But you had to chuckle because clearly he was mad.
Yeah.
But his execution was terrible because the guy was in the car behind headrest with a helmet on. Like,
right, you're not really going to land a clean shot that way, right?
Not going to land any shot.
Yeah,
it's irrelevant. I mean, but it was kind of funny. And the best part about that, in fact, I called Jason Jarrett this morning. I just wanted to hear his opinion from the roof. Neither driver is taking any blame. It's just
because what you saw that the little bit of a replay there had been more before that led to that point.
That's exactly right, and that's where the intensity in these last parts of these all-star races gets ramped up. And again, drivers financially have done very well for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
$1 million is still a lot of money to these guys. And they're not getting all $1 million.
Right. They have deals, and certain guys in their
right.
contracts, they get this amount or that amount or whatever.
But that shows you the importance of it's no points. It's it's a cool trophy. And the ability, if you win this race, you're in all the rest of them for the rest of your career.
Yeah, you're always eligible.
That's it. The reason, for instance, Ryan Newman was in this race was because he won it years ago. And it's cool to see.
And I think he was one of the guys who came from the Open, or at that point, I think it was called the Select or something like that. Yeah,
he came from the B main, as Kyle Larson said.
See, I love that.
Yes,
that's perfect.
The B main for him to win that as well. But yeah, Ryan Newman came from the B main or the Open race years ago to win it, and was one of the first, I believe, after Dale Jr. Won the race previous year. But man, oh man, it's just exciting. It was
a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, a lot of intensity.
Weekend.
You can see the intensity. And and I think, did I read correctly that Ryan Newman and Boyer are doing an appearance somewhere together at a Bass Pro at a Cabela's, I think?
Oh, I didn't see that.
I think,
are they really?
Because they have an association.
Because, it's almost a foregone conclusion.
Yes,
when they do the ride around, they will be in the same truck, right?
Absolutely. Their buses are going to be parked, everything about it. So it's interesting how this works.
All right, we'll take a quick time out here on MRN Out Loud. We'll talk Coca-Cola 600, and the Xfinity Series is back this weekend as well. We'll do that next.
Here's your chance to win a set of your very own Hercules tires. Go to HerculesTires.com/MRN. Simply register, and each month we'll give away one set of tires. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading mileage coverage to get you wherever you need to go, no matter where the road takes you. Register now for your chance to win a set of Hercules tires at HerculesTires.com/MRN. Hercules Tires. Ride on our street.
G'day, America. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. That's right, Outback Delivery is here. Now you can enjoy all your Outback favourites anywhere. Our signature centre cut sirloin at home.
It's here.
Or game day party platters with Kookaburra wings that'll have both teams cheering.
It's here.
Or steak and lobster for a date night at home.
It's here.
Head over to Outback.com and place your orders, because Outback Delivery is here. Outback Steakhouse. Aussie rules. Delivery availability varies. Delivery charge may apply.
Check out MRN.com for a new podcast series called The Tough Trucks of NASCAR. 25 years and still trucking. We'll take you back to some great races.
Benson to the bottom of the racetrack. This is the race for the lead and the win at Michigan.
And some wild moments.
One truck is in the air, Matt Crafton upside down.
And we'll let you hear the stories behind them.
He was too bullheaded to let me pass him, and I was too bullheaded to let him have it.
Download the show for free on iTunes and at MRN.com.
Woody Cain and Joey Meier with you, MRN Out Loud here as we get set for the Coca-Cola 600 coming up on Sunday. Racing in the day to start, finishing under the lights at night. Back to the regular package that we saw at Kansas. But one of the interesting things, I wanted to ask you about this too, since you were not here after the Kansas race. A lot of what came out of that race that everybody said was so good was guys talking about how temperature sensitive this package is.
Well, it is. It seems like that because whenever you have a balance, so normally we get really heavily balanced aero-wise, and your mechanical grip is kind of negligent, right? Well, when you start getting a temperature sensitive or the temperature goes down, well, your mechanical grip comes into play, and it can override the aerodynamic side. So then you have a balance. Do we want mechanical grip? Do we want aero grip? And for the track to be able to take cars going from the bottom of the track to the top of the track is really, really important.
They did a great job, by the way, with the Tire Dragon and the VHT or the Goop or whatever you want to call it.
And so that's one of the things that we learned from Kansas going forward to Charlotte is make the track available so that the bottom is the shortest way around, the closest point between point A and
that's
point
where all
B.
the gray was, where there was no
spray, but allows you to go up and gain grip so you can stay in the throttle a little longer to where your mechanical advantage is back normal. On the bottom, you're going to use more aero because you're going to be holding the thing wide open. And as you lose mechanical grip, you move up into the spray, and it allows you to stay in the throttle longer. So we take away or we give the drivers more ability to run around the track, but using different portions of their car to rely on. And when you catch another car, because you're not following in their wake, if you will, that allows you to move around and be able to pass. Now, the fastest car will tend to run out front.
Right.
But because this is our longest race of the year, it's 600 miles. I heard some conversation about, do we need a 600-mile race?
Yeah, Denny Hamlin specifically said, no, we don't.
I think I like it. Now, would I like 7 of them? No. But I also don't like going to Eldora more than once, right? I want that dirt track for the truck
to be
race
special.
to be special.
But the old test of man and machine is not as applicable as it was because, Joey, we don't see a handful of engine failures a year anymore.
No, and we're not testing the endurance anymore of the machinery. We're testing the endurance of our pit crews with multiple pit stops. We're testing the endurance of the drivers.
But it used to be, can the cars do that?
Exactly right. Now it's a matter of, can the drivers hold up? Can the pit crews hold up? And the length of the race allows you to start in the heat of the day and end in the chill of the night. And that puts
who can adjust?
Who can adjust? And Charlotte Motor Speedway has become one of the largest temperature-sensitive tracks we've ever run on. And so that's what the challenge is. It's not about how long can these chrome bumpers last and, with the door panels falling off these cars, which is what it used to be 40 years ago. Now it's a test of man more than machine.
Or men. Yeah.
And people and crew, because the engines that they run in these cars would run for 1,000 miles, right?
Yeah. That's not as much of a factor as it was back in the day.
That's not what we're testing anymore. Although we did see some good blow-ups in the All-Star race.
Yeah, but that's a little bit of a different beast.
Yes.
Right.
But what we have now is a test of men more than machine.
Okay, and that's definitely something to look forward to. Now, with temperatures expected to get back up around 90 or more this weekend, I'm not expecting we're going to see some of that come into play like we did at Kansas when it got down into the 50s and
it was
60s.
Chilly.
Yeah.
But again, what we added
even at night Charlotte.
What we added was the spray to take a by adding the spray, what we're hoping is that we get the same advantage of the cooler temperatures.
As the cooler temperatures. But it seems like ideal now is a track like that with the cool temperatures.
Yeah, right now that's because, again, because
that's what this is ultimately designed to help is racing on the mile and a half.
Mile and a half and the smoother tracks, right? But our sample size right now is really limited to Texas, Kansas, Charlotte, we're going to see this weekend. So our sample size, so it'll be interesting to see with a little bit hotter temperatures, albeit cooler at night, with some spray in the middle and higher grooves, how the track reacts.
It's going to be a very fun watch for sure. A long race, but that brings out some strategy elements. Who can adjust? Whose crew can hold up through that and not make mistakes? It's all going to be critical.
And we're going to quick point here before we go. One of the things that you try to do during this race, like your first battle, is staying on the lead lap to the very last stage.
Yeah.
Because if a guy runs long and those leaders jump out in front and you're a lap down early, well, then you have a whole nother race.
You spend the whole day trying to get it back.
That lap back.
Yeah.
So staying on the lead lap is like the most important thing these teams will work on.
All right. We're also having the Xfinity Series back this weekend. They'll race on Saturday afternoon at Charlotte. We'll talk about that next.
G'day, America. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. That's right, Outback Delivery is here. Now you can enjoy all your Outback favourites anywhere. Our signature centre-cut sirloin at home.
It's here.
Or game day party platters with Kookaburra wings that'll have both teams cheering.
It's here.
Or steak and lobster for a date night at home.
It's here.
Head over to Outback.com and place your orders because Outback Delivery is here. Outback Steakhouse. Aussie rules.
Delivery availability varies. Delivery charge may apply.
Winged Nation with Steve Post, Aaron Evernham, and Ashley Stremme. Your destination for all things winged sprint cars. Each Saturday at 8:30 and 11:30 a.m. on MAV TV. Live at noon on wingednation.com and Facebook Live. Join us for in-depth conversations with drivers and personalities that make up the greatest dirt racing on earth. The Winged Nation Preview Podcast each Thursday previews the upcoming weekend. Winged Nation, winged sprint car talk covering dirt tracks all across America.
Hi, this is Mike Backley. Join me and the rest of the MRN crew every Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. We'll get you up to date with the latest news stories and ready for the upcoming race weekend.
That's what it boils down to. You know, anything can happen in between, and we've seen it the last few years, kind of how crazy things can get.
Hear exclusive interviews, expert analysis, and much more.
Wheel that thing, brother, wheel it! That's why you never give up, guys. Never give up.
It's NASCAR Live this Tuesday night at 7 Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
MRN Outloud, presented by Outback Steakhouse, getting set for the weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Another weekend there. We talked about the Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday. Saturday, The Xfinity Series comes back. We haven't seen them since, their Philly takeover promoting the upcoming Pocono race. But right now, looks like a handful of guys trying to separate themselves from the field. The Christopher Bells, the Tyler Reddicks, Justin Allgaier is up in that mix as well. A lot of guys who have shown, Cole Custer, that they really have some speed and are going to be factors.
Yeah, Justin Allgaier is the Kyle Larson of the Xfinity Series.
He's been fast, but
you look at his points, you're like, why? Where has he
What's
been?
going on?
Yeah, those guys can't seem to completely execute a race, whether they're down on speed or they hit a wall or have been in an accident or nothing of their own doing even. So he'll be happy to sit here at Charlotte and try to run good. And this is in one of those perfect races to where we've seen, they run those carbon fiber composite bodies.
And they can take some punishment.
And that's the thing about this is a great racetrack for that. We saw the Cup cars and the trucks get into the wall and cause significant damage, which hurts their performance. That composite body tends to like to rub the wall without causing the damage.
It can kind of pop back out.
Exactly right. There's not a deformed area of the car anymore. It might hurt a crush panel here or there, but for the most part, Tyler Reddick proved last year you can knock the wall down with these things, and really the outside of the car still looks really good, and that's what's important.
At Homestead, he stayed up there all afternoon and just kept getting it and kept getting it.
So I think Charlotte will see a lot of guys rim riding the top side trying to create speed out of those cars on exit.
And as we move forward with that series now, you're past the era where we had the Dash for Cash races where no Cup guys can enter. So now you're going to see some guys come back into that series that we haven't seen in the past month or so, and that will make it more of a challenge. But as we've continued to hear from the drivers, the Xfinity regulars say, bring them on.
Yeah.
Bring on the Kyle Bushes. Bring on the Kyle Larsons. All those guys. We want to race them.
Yeah, I still think we got Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, and Paul Menard yet to run some Xfinity races for Team Penske. But one of the cool things on the Xfinity side coming up very, very quickly is that standalone Iowa race.
Yeah.
Which always packs the place up. And again, 7/8 of a mile short track is I look forward to that race more than anything.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Strategy-wise for the Xfinity guys at Charlotte, it's not as long as the 600 as we mentioned. It's going to be a more traditional race for them.
300 miles at Charlotte still happens.
It's a lot.
It's a long time. It is a long time. And again, staying on the lead lap, if you get a Christopher Bell or somebody out front that just charges and puts a lot of guys' laps down, that's your first battle because, again, the temperature is still going to affect you and you need to stay out front.
Are you working the Xfinity race, by the way?
I am not.
You're not. All right. Oh, that's right. You got 2 weeks off
That's
now.
it.
When you're in Charlotte, you don't have to work.
Literally, I'll probably be at home again.
There you go. All right. That's this week's edition of MRN Out Loud. The Performance Racing Network will have the races coming up at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend. We will be back the following weekend at Pocono. But don't forget NASCAR Live every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Check MRN.com under the Shows tab to see what we've got coming up anytime. Little Joey says, go get you a bloomin' onion. I'm Woody. He's Joey. We'll see you right back here next week.